Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Samantha Janvrin from Southern California, and we have an exciting interview here this evening. When you're looking at a company, whether it's to be a consumer of the products on a long-term basis, or if you're looking to make extra income or a full-time income, either to subsidize your income coming into your family, into your household, or even I have some people who like to earn extra money to give to their church or to their favorite charity. Or if someone's looking for a hobby, or even to make that full-time income, or for example, I have a daughter who's 17 going away to college, and I can tell you there isn't a single inexpensive college out there to be found. So, for whatever the reason is, if you're looking to take products on a long-term basis, or you're looking to make extra income, you always look at the company. You look at, are the products sound? Do they work? And if you were fortunate enough to listen to our call that we had with co-founder and our Dr. Tatiana Kolpikoff, you heard about the products. You heard that they work, and they work 100% of the time for everyone who takes them. And so that part was covered. The second part you look at as a company is you look at the fact of, if you're looking at the company to make money, you look at how you're going to get paid. And if you're going to go to get a job somewhere, someone says, oh, you're hired. Well, you don't just start the job and then ask later how you get paid or how much you get paid. So you look at how you're going to get paid. And the other item that you look at is you look at the infrastructure. Now, this is where Mr. John Purdy comes in. He's been in our industry now for over 20 years. He's worked with the biggest companies in the entire world in our industry, and that is not an exaggeration. And what did he do for those companies? He handled their infrastructure, and he does it extremely well, not just for here in the States, but around the entire globe. And in fact, I spoke to a gentleman, someone that we would call a network marketing professional, has made a lot of income in this industry, sold millions and millions of dollars worth of products. And he and I are mutual friends. We have mutual friends in common. And he made the comment that, I'm glad that John Purdy came out of retirement. The industry needs him. Now, that adds another layer to the story, and Mr. Purdy will address this, that yes, he was in retirement, and then for somebody to make that comment that the industry needs him, it says a lot. That's a huge compliment, because, any industry needs good, solid, honest people with the right connections who know what they're doing, has the belief in their job, loves what they do, but also has that same belief in their sales force, such as us as distributors, has the same belief, the strong belief in the product line, and has a strong belief in the company and the future and the big picture of where he sees things going. So with that, Mr. John Purdy, I know you're on the line here with us, and you and your beautiful wife live down there in Temecula, about an hour and a half south of me, so not too far away, and we've had the great pleasure of having a couple of meetings there face-to-face, and I obviously have been thoroughly impressed with you, as well as all the positive feedback that I continually get from the industry, whether they're corporate executives or distributors in the field. You are held in such high regard for good reason. You worked with Amway for a number of years. Then you got hired away from them by Herbalife, and you ran their market here, and then you and your family moved to Japan and opened up that market and ran that market there. And you chose to retire, and you also helped another company get to almost $1 billion in sales, and then you tried retiring again. And during this retirement, I know that you have been approached by many, many companies and many good companies with good products. So I would love for you to address the question that I often get is, why did Mr. Purdy come out of retirement, and why did he come out of retirement to choose to join forces with WellnessPro? John, are you there? You might be on mute, John. You might need to hit *6.
Sam?
Oh, there you are.
Hey, how are you? Good evening, everybody. Sorry about that. I was wondering how I was going to talk when the phone was muted.
That's okay. That's okay. You know what? You are amazing at infrastructure. We're not going to talk about how you use your cell phone.
Okay. All right. Well, I was listening to every word. I just couldn't get anything out. Well, thank you very much for that very kind introduction, and I'm humbled by it. And good evening to everybody who's on the phone tonight. I've retired a few times. The first time, I think, at a relatively young age. And, the first time I got tired. I've been in airplanes all the time, hadn't seen my family grow up. And so, but, once you get this industry into your blood and you see what people have accomplished to better their own lives, whether that be to improve their health or their financial situation, whether that be small or completely different into a full-time income, over the years it's just been amazing to me, and it's hard to not keep it in your blood. I've never really looked for a job, and I guess I'm one of the lucky people in the world to do that. And I was approached by WellnessPro, and I had been approached, I guess probably the last couple of years by, 7, 8, 9 companies, all the way from a startup to small company to one of the largest, another one of the largest direct selling companies in the world, which I will remain anonymous. But and I just basically kind of said I just wasn't interested, and there were a variety of reasons. And I guess for those reasons, which I'm going to talk about right now, is why I joined WellnessPro. I was introduced to Tatiana and Michael and their family by a mutual colleague, and I'm a pretty good judge of people after 35 years of doing this, and I really felt that most importantly for me was the integrity and the ethics and the authenticity of the founders of the company. I've been in several different companies. I've enjoyed my experience in all of them. But I've seen other companies, and I've been to all the events, for the industry, the Direct Selling Association, et cetera, some other private ones. And there are a lot of experiences that distributors have had with companies that are not quite doing the right thing. The founders and the executives have another ulterior motive. They are, it's about them, not about the field and not about distributors. And I thought that my honest feeling after getting to know Michael, Tatiana, and some others with the company that, you can trust them. They have the distributor. It comes first. They were distributors themselves at another large company that I worked at. And I guess that first and foremost is the integrity of the individuals involved, that you can trust them, because when things go well or when things don't go so well, that's what you have to rely on, because you have to trust your partner. So I think that's number one. Number two, you got to, it's just like a distributor looking at different companies to be a part of. It's being part of a community, and I wanted to be part of that WellnessPro community. And it's also about, the products themselves. I mean, are they efficacious? Do they work? Do they taste good? Are the ingredients correct, or are they just a fad? So I experienced the products before I agreed to take on the presidency of the company, because I wanted to make sure that was a legitimate product that worked. I did quite a bit of research regarding that. So that's another very important point for me. It's a consumable product. That people will enjoy taking it. My daughter, who also is away at school, and amen, Sam, I know how expensive it is.
Good Lord, I know. I was thinking of you as I was going through some of the brochures over the weekend.
So for those of you who don't know, my daughter's going to NYU, and it's quite a sticker shock. Let's put it that way. But anyway, enough of that. And, the third thing I looked at was the compensation structure and whether that compensation plan rewards the correct behaviors for it to be in the long term. That needs to be, retailing of the product, customers, as well as obviously recruiting. It's important in this industry. And I looked at the comp plan. I examined it quite carefully. I felt comfortable with it. I thought it rewarded people at all levels, not just at the top, not just at the bottom, but everybody throughout. And there was actually a systematic growth pattern within that compensation plan. So there weren't huge gaps between different levels that sometimes if you find a big gap between one or two different levels, if you will, you see a stall effect that people just can't get over to that next hurdle, and that really slows down momentum. So I've been very happy at the company. We're relatively small compared to some of the huge corporations I worked with. But, I can tell you there's a lot of meetings and sometimes not action. So a couple of the companies I worked at, are like battleships. You can't turn a battleship in the middle of the water very fast. But if you're a PT boat, in the naval analogy, you can make quick turns, adapt pretty easy, and that's the challenge I like. That's the challenge I had at Vitalis. When I joined them, they were a relatively small company. They weren't doing too well at the time. And for those of you who had followed the story years ago, it just boomed through 4,000% a couple of years. So those are the challenges, and I look forward to them. And that's why I came out of retirement. Like I said, I really wasn't looking for a job. But so far I've been very, very happy. I look forward to working with a lot of you and sharing a great ride. And as I always say, I don't play for second place. I always play to win. I play fairly, but I always play to win. So hopefully that kind of gives you guys an idea why I came on board.
Yes, absolutely. I really appreciate that. And, let me ask you a question here. And I know no one has a crystal ball. I know you're not a fortune teller. But, based on your experience in the industry, and I actually quoted over 20 years in the beginning of the call. I apologize, over 35 years in the industry. You have 15 years on me. I'm probably a heck of a lot more miles in the air than I do. But based on all of your experience, you've seen the earmarks. You've seen the earmarks on both sides of the coin, right? You've seen the earmarks and the signs of when companies are about to not do so well. And then you've seen the earmarks and the road signs of when a company is poised to do very well. What's your feeling as far as the future of WellnessPro? I know obviously they have great database, great consumer base in Russia and Israel and Europe, but for as far as the North American market, South American market, possibly going over to the Asian market, et cetera. What, as a visionary and your expertise, what's your expert opinion on what we can expect in the future from WellnessPro?
Yeah, good question, Sam. So I think the first thing is WellnessPro does have business in some other countries. The infrastructure for those markets hasn't been as fortified as it can, but I think the first thing, my first goal is really to build the domestic U.S. market. I've seen too many companies move overseas because it's sexy. Let's face it, being in many different countries and flying all the world is sexy, though it's hard work. But really what we need to do is focus on the domestic market here in the U.S., build it on a solid foundation, not on a weak foundation, because that's when you see what I call the pop and drop. You see some companies or some markets go way up, they go up way fast, but boy, they come down just as fast. And they kind of settle in over time at a moderate growth rate. But, obviously when a company's smaller, you see bigger numbers. It's easier to double your business, every few months. When the numbers become bigger, it's much more difficult, obviously. So I think the first step is to identify and grow the distributor base and the customer base in the United States and Canada and North America. And really part of my job is to make sure that the infrastructure is in place, everything from product to delivery to paying people. The old adage I learned from Rich and Jay at Amway and from Mark Hughes at Herbalife, who are legends, that there's two things the company needs to do, all right? Provide products that are efficacious and provide them on time and into the right place. And the second thing is pay people correctly and on time. If you do those two things, those are the basics, right? Everything else is kind of a frill, especially as technology changes from, flip charts to PowerPoint presentations to everything's mobile now, right? So all those technologies have changed from a marketing standpoint, but really the basics are you get the product there, but they ordered on time, and you pay people on time and accurately, And so the other aspect that I like to say is to have the company, so it makes it easier for the distributor and the customer to do business with us. There's nothing more frustrating if things don't work, and that's not going to say that everything's perfect all the time, especially when you have enormous growth. But that's my responsibility in that regard. As that begins to catch momentum, I believe that will start happening now and up through probably 12 months from now. Then we can kind of look at strategically where we want to look at maybe some international expansion, whether that be in Mexico, the Hispanic market, further down into South America. Colombia is a hot market right now. Eastern Europe is still a very active market for a lot of direct selling companies. And obviously there's Asia. China and India still are very, very difficult places to do business, especially here from the U.S. Those things don't happen overnight. And if anybody tells you that it happens overnight, they're wrong, or they're doing it wrong, or illegally, or whatever. But I would expect, I guess my real goal, Sam, is in terms of, something to kind of shoot for, is really for WellnessPro to be one of the top 100 direct selling companies in the United States within 3 years. And I think it's possible. I haven't looked at the list to see who's number 99 or 101 and how much business they're doing. I just don't keep track of it that closely, that much. But I think it's very, very possible. This is a very momentum business. And when things are going well and things are going right and the infrastructure's in place and people are happy and they're happy with the community, they're happy with the product, and they're making either, maybe they're making $50 or $100 a month, or maybe they're making $10,000 a month or $50,000. If all those things are happening, you'll get momentum. And this is a momentum business. And I want to make sure the momentum is going up. There's not momentum going down. So hopefully that kind of gives you some ideas about being, as you say, a crystal ball. I can't. If I was a fortune teller, I could predict the future. I could do a lot more things. I can't do that.
Well, I can tell you that the two companies that you spent most of your career with, one's number 1 and one's number 3 of the top 100 list. That much I know, and I actually know the company that is that are from 90 on up, and I agree with you. I agree. There's no reason why in 3 years that WellnessPro will be well into this list for sure. And I have to say that I've been in this industry now for 20 years, and you are extremely refreshing. And what I mean by that is that I've met a lot of executives with companies and who are very excited about the company, excited about the products, and they end up, whether they mean to or not, they end up over-promising and under-delivering. They sell it. They sell the vision more than the reality of what can really happen. And what I feel completely comfortable with you, and as should everyone who's listening to this, is that you're not going to you're going to ensure that the company is never in a gray area, and that the company will be safe. So that way, people who would like to come here and earn extra income or full-time income, they can go to bed at night knowing that they can wake up in the morning and knowing that you have the company in your hands, and you're going to ensure that the company, nothing bad is going to happen. They're going to make wise decisions, smart decisions, timely decisions, so that people in the field, they can focus in on distributing great products, changing people's lives, and do what they love to do. So for that, I know everybody appreciates and thanks you for that very tiresome, huge responsibility job, and you have broad shoulders, and it's on yours. And I know you can handle it with your connections, with your history, with your level of success that you have had in your 35 years. Everyone could be rest assured that WellnessPro is in great hands with you at the helm as the president and the COO. And I really appreciate your time and your candidness here this evening. and joining us here. I really do appreciate your time. Very much appreciated.
Well, thank you very much, Sam. And, you bring up a good point. These are tenuous times for our industry, and I know you and I have spoken about it, but, I don't know if you saw the news today, which has nothing to do with the FTC, but, Newskin even settled for an $800,000 fine because of some charitable donations they made, and I can just imagine what the charges were. They settled, but, it seems like every week somebody's in trouble with the government,
Right.
And this country, the U.S., is one of the easiest places to do business with on earth, really. There is, caveat emptor sort of attitude, let the consumer beware. But let me tell you, there's a lot of companies being looked at, and there's a lot of companies that have gotten in trouble lately, especially with the FTC, and now, the FCC and other governmental agencies. And if you don't cross your I's and dot, or cross your T's and dot your I's, you got potential problems. And so you got to do it the ethical and the right way, and that's what I think.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And actually, and as you say that, Mark Hughes used to say this, as did Larry Thompson and many of the great legends in the industry, and that is slow down to go fast, right? So if you slow down, make sure your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, then the faster you can go. But if you try to take shortcuts and open up countries before it's ready and before the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, or you come out with a product without having the manufacturing lined up, or the warehousing lined up, the distribution lined up, etc. You haven't crossed those T's or dotted those I's. Those shortcuts are going to cost a lot, and sometimes, as you've seen, it's cost companies to close. So, you give me and everyone a peace of mind that the T's will be crossed and the I's will be dotted, and for that, everybody thanks you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Purdy, and have a wonderful evening with your lovely wife. I know it's just the two of you now that your daughter is in New York. So congratulations on that. That's a huge feat.
Thank you.
So congratulations to your daughter getting there to New York safe and sound, and I'm sure she's doing amazingly well and settling in well there too.
Yeah, she is. She's doing fine. Thanks very much.
Good. All right. Well, thank you so much. Well, everybody, that is Mr. Purdy, our president and COO of WellnessPro. As you can tell, a very humble individual, but don't let that humbleness fool you. He is an absolute pit bull when it comes to getting things done, and and he does things, as you can tell, the right way every time. He truly believes a right thing done in the right way is right. And that's what he believes. He has integrity, and the company also mirrors that, and that's why it's such a great marriage. That's why Mr. Purdy came out of retirement, because of the likeness of his beliefs meshed with the Kolpakov's beliefs. So with that, everybody, please get back in touch with the person who invited you to this call or sent you this recording. There's a couple of ways for you to get started. If you would like to try the products, you're welcome to do that. You can pay retail, you can pay wholesale. It's entirely up to you. To become a distributor, it's only $49 to become a distributor. You can become a distributor and pick which products you like for the entire product line. You can get it for about $200, $150, $200. It's nothing. And the person who invited you on this call will go through everything, and you're going to get all you get the shake, which is not just a shake. You're replacing an entire meal. It's a perfectly balanced meal. You can't make a more nutritious meal. It's a perfect grab-and-go food. You get your block and burn. You get your defense. You get your empower. You get everything you need to have your body run the way it's supposed to run, function the way it's supposed to function. Now, if you would like to join us and earn, that extra money we talked about, or a full-time income, all you have to do is get what's called a leadership pack. And with that, you get every single product the company has to offer, plus it entitles you to be eligible for the Mercedes car program. Yes, the Mercedes car program. Wellness has it in with Mercedes. It also entitles you to a gift voucher for a top secret product that's coming out in November. And it also gives you a piece of equipment which you'll be able to monitor not only your weight, but you'll also be able to monitor your biological age as well as your muscle mass and your fat content. So yes, that is an amazing tool, so you'll have proof that the products actually work, because your age, whether your age is 30, whether your age is 40, that's the number, but based upon stress and diet and what have you, you could be aging as your biological age. It could be 5, 10, 20 years older than what your actual chronological, your actual number birthday is. And this piece of equipment will show you that. And as you stay consistent on the WellnessPro products, you will see that number come down, down, down. And believe it or not, it can actually be lower than your actual chronological birthday. So with that, everybody, have an amazing evening, and thank you so much for joining us, and thank you again, Mr. John Purdy, President and COO of WellnessPro. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.